They thought she was just another pom-pom princess. Fragile, harmless, easy to break. But the moment they grabbed her, she smiled, and that smile meant one thing. She was about to drop them harder than her father had ever dropped an enemy in combat. If you think cheerleaders can't fight, read this to the end, and subscribe so you never miss the kind of story that'll make your jaw hit the floor. The Friday night lights blazed over Ridgeway High's football field, the scent of popcorn and adrenaline thick in the air, but beneath the cheers and marching band drums, whispers followed Cassandra Hayes like a shadow, and they weren't the flattering kind. Pom-pom Barbie, Daddy's princess, the girl who hides behind a smile. Those were the nice ones. The rest were razor-edged insults laced with jealousy, because Cassandra wasn't just pretty, she was annoyingly perfect in their eyes. Straight A's, lead flyer on the cheer squad, never seen without that golden hair cascading down her shoulders. But what they didn't know was that every morning at 5 a.m., before her teammates were even awake, she was in the backyard with her father, a retired Special Forces operative whose idea of a warm-up was making her hold a plank for 6 minutes, whose idea of good job was knocking her to the ground and demanding she get back up faster. Tonight, the mockery reached a boiling point when Lindsay Carter and her crew, queen bees with venomous tongues, decided halftime wasn't complete without humiliating Cassandra. So as the squad practiced formations, they, accidentally, spilled a Gatorade cooler on her uniform, the icy splash soaking her to the bone, sending gasps rippling through the bleachers. And while the crowd laughed, Cassandra's father, sitting quietly in the back row, didn't even flinch. His daughter had been through worse in training. Cassandra played along, pretending to shiver and blush, but inside, something clicked, the mental switch her dad had drilled into her. Stay calm. Let them underestimate you, then strike. After the game, Lindsay and her friends cornered Cassandra behind the gym, their heels clicking on the asphalt like a countdown to trouble, one of them shoving her hard against the brick wall, smirking as she said, "You gonna cry, cheerleader?" But Cassandra's lips curled into that dangerous smile, the one her father always warned meant someone was about to regret their choices, and before Lindsay's friend could blink, Cassandra hooked her foot behind the girl's ankle and pivoted, dropping her to the ground in a single fluid motion, then sidestepped a wild swing from another bully, her palm snapping up under the girl's chin with a precision that sent her sprawling. Breathless, the fight was over in seconds, 3 girls on the ground, groaning, and Cassandra standing over them, not even breathing hard. But then, twist. The door to the gym swung open and Coach Rivers stepped out, eyes narrowing at the scene, yet instead of scolding, he nodded almost imperceptibly, like he'd been expecting this. Turns out, her father had spoken to the coach months ago, asking him to keep an eye on her not because she was in danger from school bullies, but because there were people from his past, people he'd double-crossed on a mission, who might come looking for him through her. And the bullying tonight wasn't entirely what it seemed, at least not for all of them. Lindsay's cousin, it turned out, wasn't even a student. She was a plant, sent to provoke Cassandra into revealing whether she'd inherited her father's skill. As Cassandra stood there, heart pounding but mind calm, she noticed the stranger's eyes flick to the dark edge of the parking lot where a black SUV idled, engine running, a silhouette in the driver's seat watching intently. Her father emerged from the shadows before she could react, stepping between her and the SUV, his voice low and deadly. "You got your answer. Now get out of my town." And the SUV peeled away, tires screeching. Later, in the quiet of their kitchen, Cassandra demanded the truth, and her father told her about a mission years ago in a jungle far away, about a stolen drive worth millions, about enemies who didn't forgive or forget, and about how he'd trained her not just for discipline or fitness, but because one day, he might not be there to protect her. She realized then that tonight hadn't just been a random scuffle or petty revenge. It had been her first real test, a live trial to see if she could survive being hunted. But then another twist. Her father admitted he hadn't set this up, meaning whoever was watching from that SUV was moving faster than he'd anticipated, and they weren't testing her for sport, they were hunting her for real. The next morning, Cassandra's phone buzzed with a video message. Grainy footage of her takedown behind the gym, her face in perfect focus, a distorted voice saying, "Not bad. Let's see if you can handle what's coming next." And as she watched, her father was already packing a duffel bag with weapons she'd never seen before, tossing her a compact blade and saying, "School's out, kiddo. Training just went live." There was no time to argue, because through the kitchen window, she saw two black SUVs roll to a stop at the end of their street, doors opening in unison, men in tactical gear stepping out like chess pieces being set on the board, and in that heartbeat, Cassandra's life as a normal cheerleader ended, replaced by something her father called active survival, which was a polite way of saying, fight or die. They slipped out the back, moving through neighbors' yards, her father murmuring instructions while her mind replayed every strike, every counter, every escape move he'd drilled into her since she was 10, until they reached an old, abandoned train yard where he'd stashed supplies, just in case. They hid there for 2 days, watching the SUVs patrol the streets, but on the third night, Cassandra made a decision. She wasn't going to run forever, she was going to end this. And with her father's reluctant blessing, they turned from prey to predator. The first strike came at midnight, catching 2 of the SUV teams off guard, Cassandra using speed and precision to drop them before they could raise alarms, her father handling the rest with quiet, terrifying efficiency. Then, from the shadows, a woman's voice called out, slow clapping echoing in the dark, and a tall figure stepped forward, Raven, her father's former comrade, now apparently his enemy, smirking as she looked Cassandra up and down. The rumors were true. You fight like him, but cleaner. And before Cassandra could react, Raven attacked, their fight a blur of movement, blades flashing, every strike blocked and countered until Cassandra finally used one of her father's trick moves, a sudden feint and a low sweep, sending Raven to the ground. But instead of finishing her, Cassandra stepped back, chest heaving, and said, "Tell them I'm ready," and with that, Raven laughed, stood, and disappeared into the night, leaving behind more questions than answers. Cassandra turned to her father, but he only said, "It started," and somewhere deep inside, she knew the bullying had been just the first domino in a long chain, one that would force her to trade pom-poms for combat boots, pep rallies for battlefields, and high school drama for a war she didn't start but might be the only one who could finish.